This one isn't as obscure as that last one I knew. Ben, do you support Governor Mark Dayton's tax increase proposal?
I do not support Governor Dayton's tax increase proposal. Minnesota is already one of the highest tax states in the country. And one of the things we need to do is we need to lower the tax burden on individuals and on businesses so that we can grow our economy. Right now, if you look at business climate, we're 45th or 46th among all 50 states. South Dakota is ranked number 2, even Wisconsin's ahead of us. We need to improve our business climate by lowering our taxes so that we can grow jobs in Minnesota. You know, it's not a zero-sum game. You know, you don't take from one person and give it to another and think the pie is going to stay the same. If you let people keep the money that they earn and don't take it away from them in taxes, then they will take that money and they will invest it, they will spend it, and they will grow the economy so that you can take a bigger slice. Instead of taking a bigger slice from the same size pie, you can take a smaller slice of a bigger pie. And so what we need to do is we need to grow jobs and grow the economy by holding the line on taxes, holding the line on spending, and even reducing taxes so that we can be more competitive with our neighboring states. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony, do you support Governor Mark Dayton's tax increase proposal?
Well, you know, actually over the course of his 2 years in office, there's been several attempts that he's made to balance the cuts that we've had to make over time with different proposals for the legislature to consider. I mean, I think I made it clear in our very first question on balancing the state budget that I believe a balanced approach is necessary. I'll talk about a couple of the taxes that were proposed over this last 2 years. First off, closing the corporate tax loopholes. I mean, I think this makes absolute imminent sense. These are large corporations, the majority of whom don't even have a real business here in Minnesota. They're doing their business overseas, and when their money is overseas, we don't tax it here in Minnesota. But if we can close those loopholes and get those taxes, and it would make a great deal of sense. I support that one. Another one, we had to close the affiliate nexus to have a sales tax on internet sales. And you know, the coalition of Minnesota businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, Target Corporation, Best Buy, all supported this reasonable tax increase because it discriminates against our brick and mortar mom and pop shops here in Minnesota when they're at an unfair advantage. I would support looking at something like that. Governor Dayton also proposed an additional income tax on those earning over $250,000. I mean, I think that we need to look seriously at that. I could support a package that included that if it were within a total tax overhaul that I think is desperately needed. The final one that he proposed to just try to end the state shutdown and mitigate some of the disastrous cuts that were occurring in that budget bill was a tax on those making over $1 million a year. A small 1% tax on the uber wealthy, and even that was rejected. And I think that that's a small price to pay for those that have done well in our society. I mean, when you do well, that's wonderful, and I'm in great support of you. I ran a small business. I actually did do well myself, and I was proud to understand that I did it in conjunction with the education system that I took advantage of, and that the employees that I had available to them, and that it's incumbent upon me to do better by our public system and to support it as we move forward. And so we really need to break down this which tax is it, and get to the bold conversation about broad tax reforms, 21st century tax tools that can bring stability to our budgets.
Bill, a question to you. Do you support Governor Mark Dayton's tax increase proposal?
No, we have enough money in there already, and if you look around either other states or within our state, there are still many areas where we can save money. We do not need to raise taxes. Just in April, for example, they, in a warehouse in Florida, this is not Minnesota, but it's just an example, in a warehouse in Florida, they opened the door and they found 500, I think it was 598 brand new automobiles. There were 06s and 07s the government had purchased for some purpose, and they were just sitting in there, no miles on. They were sitting in there for many years, and they just found those this year. There's so many things that the federal government has purchased and wasted money on, and we have a lot of things here in Minnesota as well, and it's gotten better. It's been fine-tuned. It's been looked at. A lot of people have been looking at ways that we can save money or reduce expenditures, but raising the taxes on anything should be the last possible resort. The numbers I had for Tony of the tax items that came up to vote, 25 out of 28, they said you voted in favor of the tax increase. Is that right? Pretty close? Okay, well anyway, if that's true, Tony favors tax increases a good chunk of the time. I do not. These businesses that are making this money employ a lot of people. We have one business here in Pine City, in the other end of town. They have the same number of employees they had 10 years ago. 10 years ago, his benefits that he had to supply for his employees was $30,000. He told me the other day, now the same number of employees at the same shop, it's $132,000. It went up over $100,000 that he's required to supply for his employees. And he said that's preventing him from hiring additional employees. He's making them work longer. He's making them be more efficient. So if we raise the taxes on someone that's making over $250,000, I would expect him probably making over $250,000, and so he would fall in that category, and it would crush him up there in that business, and there would probably be several layoffs there as well.
Finally to you, Tim. Do you support Governor Mark Dayton's tax increase proposal?
Well, I guess it really depends on what the money is going for, what it's going to be used for. If that money is going to go to restore the homestead tax credit, absolutely I would support that. If you take a look at it, these are the numbers that I heard, so you know, I won't guarantee they're right, but I'm sure they're very close. That what the homestead tax credit cost this district was $3 million. That's a lot of money that this district has to now pay in increased property taxes. If we would have increased the income tax on people making over $250,000, it would have been less than $100,000. That's a 30-to-1 ratio, a return on investment that we would have gotten by increasing that income tax, that we would have not had to pay in increased property taxes. Now, you know, I think that's a no-brainer. I don't see how anybody could not say that voting for that income tax, if that's what the money is going for, would not be a good deal for this district. Now, because that homestead tax credit was canceled, businesses' taxes went up on average in this district 28%. And so you want to talk about, you know, driving businesses out of the area. That's a good way to do it, is increasing their property taxes by 28%. When they can now move their business down to the metro area and pay less property taxes than they do here. And so that is not fair, that is not right, and that's what the homestead tax credit and that's what local government aid were designed to do, was to level out the property taxes across the state so that districts like this that have low property tax value can compete with the metro area to get businesses to move here. And so if the money is going to restore those things, absolutely I'll vote for them. And it's a no-brainer, in my opinion, not to vote for those, because, and every tax that I voted for in all the years I was in the legislature, every one brought more money to this district than we would have paid in the tax. Because if we didn't have that increased tax, it meant we cut local government aid, or we cut school funding, or we cut something. Every tax I voted for would have returned more dollars to this district than what we ended up paying for. And so, so it absolutely depends on what the money is going for. If it's going for one of those things, if it's going to schools, absolutely I would support it.